Dane, Andrew.
What up? What up?
What's up? The gentleman from the band Loyals. Thanks for hanging out tonight.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So I came across your music. I have a good relationship with your PR team, and they sent it over to me, and they're like, "You gotta check this out." And I put it on. I'm like, "Yes, whatever they want to do, whatever they can fit me in, please."
Sweet, dude.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for saying that.
You've got a new EP out. Came out October 18th called Love Me Bad. And it's fantastic. I mean, I don't know the kind of response that you guys got or anything like that, or kind of your history. We can kind of go through that, but I mean, this is like radio ready. I
appreciate it, man. Thank you.
For what my opinion is worth. I am on the radio, so I've been in radio for a little while, so I do have I don't know, some respect, I guess you could say. But I mean, the lead single, I think it was Up All Night.
Yeah.
Goosebumps. Like that song.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, that song could go against anything on alternative radio right now, for sure, without a doubt.
Oh,
That's cool hearing that. It's so much fun to like just release music again and like hear any kind of feedback. Like if it's negative or positive, like does not matter. Just like crave it right now. So it's really cool when it's positive. Thank you.
It's
for
cool.
saying that.
I agree. It's just been so long for us. I don't know if you went back in our catalog other than listening to the EP at all, or but we haven't put out like a project since like 2018. We did a full album with a record label 2018.
Okay.
And then we did a single after that, and then we're gonna go make another record, and then COVID and a bunch of things we can probably get into, but now we have this EP, and it's kind of like a reset button a little bit on the sound and the vibe.
That makes sense.
So, but just hearing any response is amazing right now, because it feels like we just been sitting with these songs and working on this project for so long.
5 freaking years.
Wow.
So, some more or less, yeah. Some songs, yes. Some songs not as long, but
yeah.
But it's just cool to hear literally anyone give us any feedback, because it does feel like new to us again in a way. Releasing music, 'cause it's just been so long.
Yeah, well, real quick, I mean, just if people like are just tuning in and they only want to stay for a few minutes, I want to definitely like kind of capture what you're all about. So I mean, like really quick, like I hear some Justin Timberlake in there.
Cool.
No Tomorrow, the song No Tomorrow kind of has the Weekend vibes to it.
Yeah, big time.
I don't know if you heard that before or not, but yeah, I mean, if anything else, if you want to cut out listening now, you can just go check out the new EP, Love Me Bad by Loyals. It's a fantastic 5 song EP. But you said I try not to do too much digging per se, and research, because I kind of like to have it just kind of happen organically. So you said that this is kind of like a reset for you guys. So talk about a little bit about your, prior to this release. Like where you're from, like I mean,
how far do you want? How much time do you have? And how
a lot of
far
history in the span, dude.
We've got a guy sitting in the dark.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry everybody. My kid is asleep in the next room over, and I've got to keep it dark in here.
He's got good reasons.
Sorry, if you need to see me, I'll just do this.
No, it's like Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah.
No, I get it. That's why
we do have a lot of history in this band, like surprisingly.
Okay, let's get into it.
Me and Gomes like just kind of came up in bands in church. Like,
yeah,
I think I met Gomi when he was 12.
We met 20 years ago here in a few months. Yeah,
that's wild, dude.
That's a long time.
Like I was 12. Dane was what? You're probably like 13, something like that.
Yeah,
but yeah, 2000. I guess we're recording this in around Halloween time. In a couple weeks will be 20 years of my family moving to Nashville, and then I met Dane literally like 2 months later.
Wow.
Yeah. So
we're old, right? Everybody.
I'm older than you guys are.
Oh, yeah. Well,
but that's where your name comes from, right?
I guess.
Man,
we definitely like.
I don't remember how we landed on Loyals. I think we went through.
We threw around so many different names, just trying to find something that was cool.
And we picked this out of all names. We picked this name of all, and I do wonder sometimes, like, what it'll make sense later. I don't know.
Yeah. That's definitely weird. Like loyals, what does that even mean? Loyalists,
Yeah.
maybe, but not loyals. I don't
Yeah.
know. It just looked cool and it sounded cool, so we went with it. I definitely have like a more like loyal kind of personality, and me and Gums have been stuck by each other for a long time, obviously. So I think it just makes sense. But
Oh,
I think we established loyals in like 20,
Like 2015 maybe. I think
15, yeah.
we might have had the name a little before then, but we didn't like go public with Loyals until 2015. And Loyals really was a kind of morphing of our previous band that we had, which
Yeah.
if there's any OG fans listening to this, they'll remember. But Skyhook was the name.
Skyhook.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
and it was like a kind of an alt rock sort of thing. Still kind of grounded, had a foot in like the church world a little bit because that's where we came up through. And
A huge foot. Yeah, we did a lot of worship stuff, and
yeah,
we
back-
wanted to play clubs too. So we had like our rock pop stuff, but then we also had worship stuff as well.
yeah. But then around when we had done that for about, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years maybe.
Mhm.
We started that in like 2009, where some of us were still in high school. And then Loyals became what it is because of doing the Skyhook thing for a while. And then just kind of one day, I remember you, Dane, telling me specifically one day when you're bringing the idea forward about changing the name. And we're just listening to the demos and for the songs you were writing. And you were saying, I just feel like we need the reset. It's going to be a new sound. I also kind of just want to make music for everyone. I want to get like
Mhm.
kind of the church thing out of our like don't have that attached to it. And
Yeah,
I was
the church thing is so yeah, I respect anybody who does it. And I may even do it in the future. Who knows? But like I don't want to just make that music alone. And when you're like this a CCM or worship artist, like that's really all you can do.
you're pigeonholed. Yeah.
Pigeonhole for sure. Yeah.
And I just didn't want to like be glued to that thing anymore. And if I wanted to write a song about God, then I could do it. If we wanted to write a song about a relationship, then we could do that.
Right.
And just wanted that freedom, you know.
Yeah, and that we're coming up on almost 10 years of like kind of making that switch. But we made the switch. And we had done a lot of touring and all sorts of stuff with our first band. And so we're pretty comfortable on the road, comfortable playing shows, just doing the whole band thing in general, and had found some moderate success, at least regionally, doing that. But Loyals, pretty much off the bat, like once we put out our first single, Mind Up, which we did independently, we already had record label connections that we had made throughout the years with our old band. And Tooth and Nail was one of those that came back to us and was just like, hey, what are y'all doing? Let's listen to some new songs. What do you have going on? And we showed them the demos of what would be eventually the Loyals album. And they were pretty much immediately on board because it was just something, I guess to them, they were seeing something interesting, different, not the typical stuff that they would sign, but it could play well with other artists that they sign and typically sign. So that first album we did was more of like a pop rock record, a little bit of like an Amberlin influence mixed with like 1975 and what was the other band that we always
Paper
referenced?
Route. Paper Route.
No, not that
Not
one.
Paper Route. I always reference Paper Route.
Well, I mean, that was a reference, but there's one specific album we were chewing on a lot while making that first album. It was, I remember Matt was talking highly of it too. I can't remember what it was called, but it
was it like a bigger reference
kinda,
for us?
kind of like a medium. Well, yeah, kind of a big reference, but more the size of the band was not that big though. They're kind of a medium, kind of popular band. I'm trying. Lydia.
Paramore?
It was
Lydia. Yeah, you're right.
Lydia.
Lydia.
It was Lydia. That one Lydia record that came out like in
That album was so cool too. Yeah.
like 2014. Yeah.
We
So
really liked the drum sounds on that album. So we like really
we try to
hyper focused on what they were doing on the drums.
Mm-hmm. But we do our Loyals album, and we signed Tooth. We start making the album. It takes us a while to put out the album for a bunch of reasons, but eventually the album does come out 2018. We go on tour, a few tours around the country, and the goal was to go back into the studio and put out an album maybe in like 2020. Started kind of putting some songs together, writing a lot. And then the label introduced us to a guy named Cameron James that moved to Nashville. He was in a band that also was on Tooth and Nail, but he had kind of went more into the pop world in Los Angeles and had done a lot of cool stuff. And a lot of the stuff that we're trying to do, we're trying to reach more of a pop crowd with this new project. Also, between the album coming out and our old band, like we had started with a handful of members. And by the time we got to doing this EP, it was just me and Dane. And so it kind of felt like appropriate to rebrand, redo everything. Like if we're going to go experiment and try some new sounds, now's the time. And so we connected with Cameron because he definitely had a foot in the pop world and where we wanted to be and seemed like super interested in our stuff. And we ended up doing some sessions together, bringing songs that we had written to him as well to get his idea on things. And then we eventually started working on the songs right then, you know, a week or two after we started recording, working on songs, COVID hit. And, you know, we took a little bit of a breather. And I think that was kind of frustrating for us because we were really excited about the new stuff. But we also had been doing this for so long, like the band thing, like constantly thinking about and being in that world, touring, writing, recording, planning, like, you know, meetings with record labels, meetings for this and that. It's just been nonstop. And then when COVID hit, I felt like if we kind of pumped the brakes a little bit to live life a little bit for various reasons. There were some reasons out of our control for that, some reasons within our control for that. But I think what ended up happening with that is we ended up kind of gestating on a bunch of these songs for a little while. And the 5 songs you hear on the EP very much are like very thought through, like a very meticulous picking of those songs in that order on that track listing on that record to tell a story. It's kind of its own little narrative. But it's about a relationship from the very beginning when you first meet someone and you're like you're talking about Up All Night and infatuate someone all the way to the very last track of the record, No Tomorrow, which is very much after the fallout of a relationship. And it's kind of like this one last like meeting together, this last night together. And you know that like this is going nowhere. This is already over. It's done. But it's just kind of like the struggle with like letting go in a way. But anyway, but that's like kind of a sort of a history / small history / going all the way into the record.
It's a very condensed, brief,
very condensed history. There's so much we
that's
get into
great.
on that, but
That's great. Was there any crossover from Skyhook to when you guys reformed as Loyals?
You mean like band member wise?
No, audience wise, like people that,
I don't know, maybe
I think in the early days for sure, because I think the music we were putting out early on as Loyals, what you hear on the first record, I'm not going to say it was like a far cry from like sonically the more rock stuff we were doing with Skyhook, but it definitely was like a much more focused pop approach in the songwriting, especially because Skyhook was like they were basically a youth group band that tried to write original songs and then just kind of like accidentally getting really busy traveling the country.
Yeah, found some weird success.
Yeah, like and Loyals is very much like from the beginning, like this is a pop project. Like it may like take shape with some guitars and have a little bit of an edge to it at times or whatever, but the songwriting will be pop and it will be like very focused for all kind of audiences, or like at least a mainstream audience.
I definitely I feel like every couple of years I get somebody asking me about Loyals, and then they'll reference Skyhook. Like I was around for the Skyhook days too, so I feel like for sure there was some crossover there. I just don't know how many,
Yeah,
because it was very different.
There's still names from, I mean, it's been like 15 years almost, or around really since Skyhook started. There's still some names from back then that I still see on social media that are liking and commenting on our stuff, and like that's super cool. Like, I mean, that's 15 years ago. I mean, that's like almost
wild.
It's like almost half my lifetime that people have been following like a thing that we've been doing, which is kind of cool. It's something to kind of not forget about, really.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you have a lot of pop influences, or was this just kind of a new direction you guys wanted to go?
Yeah.
Why
I mean,
pop?
well, Gomi works a lot with pop artists. He makes a lot of pop music. He's a producer, writer in Nashville. Um, I kind of just like wanted to do it and loved a lot of the pop music that was coming out at the time. I mean, when we,
You've always been like into pop music, at least from a distance, or had a foot in
yeah, maybe
forever,
like
basically. But
some phases more than others, but I don't know. It just
I
seemed
didn't
like
get
the
into
right
pop
next
music till 10 years
move.
ago. I didn't really give it. I didn't care.
Yeah,
about
but
pop
you
music.
listen to anything Gomi does now, it's like the best pop you've ever heard in your life. Like,
Well, it's because I grew up like a Warped Tour kid, and I grew up like that world and like scene music and Tooth and Nail and Rise Records and all that stuff and emo, and then like somewhere in the early 2010s, like
mm,
radio
very
pop started
innovative
sounding cool.
stuff.
Yeah, you have like Lord
Hmm.
doing like this interesting thing with pop as a solo artist. He had Imagine Dragons, which was people meme on them now, but I mean, come on, that first record was insane.
So
It was
good.
so good.
So
Yeah,
good.
they were so good live. But that Radioactive was on the radio. It was charting, and that was
Mhm.
what rock kind of had to sound and look like. Remember when Fall Out Boy came back and everyone was like, "What is this? This doesn't sound like pop punk." But it was still a rock record. It just kind of was dressed up differently.
Yeah.
Um, but that's when I started kind of getting more into pop music. But I would say really right before COVID, I think pop music since then has kind of gotten way cooler. Like it's just more eclectic. There's all sorts of stuff that pops, and I think that's due to the internet and reach that people can have now, versus like tastemakers and radio telling people kind of what to like and
Yeah.
listen to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's easily consumable. It's kind of for everyone. Um, it just makes you feel good too. Like who
Mhm.
doesn't like that?
Oh yeah, I mean, you want to feel good. Well, who doesn't want to feel good?
Exactly. Exactly.
That's a
Actually,
big part of it writing any song. I think for us is always been if it feels good, if it makes you want to move or makes you feel a certain way where it like makes you lean in and I want to keep feeling like this. Like then
yeah.
we've done a good job in writing a song. If it doesn't have a feeling, then it's like why are we even here, man?
Right.
Or if you can't make out while
I
listening to
I
it.
want to make you feel some stuff.
Hell yeah.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
Well, no, I felt it. And so I don't know if it's false, but I read something somewhere that says not everyone gets goosebumps listening to music.
Okay.
It's a
Weird.
it's a small percentage.
I do.
I definitely have before.
I think I have heard that though. Yeah, that I don't remember where, but I feel like it was just a subject that I listened to.
That could be one of those things where you see on Instagram reels where women need more sleep than men. And
Oh
then
yeah, I
a
see.
day
It'd be
later
like a random
It's just on
statement. So
that.
someone's
yeah,
just putting up a thing to get clicks and comments.
exactly. It could be
Or
one
at
of
least
those
start a
things.
discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, up all night, like goosebumps. Like
That's awesome.
there's a I hear something else in it. I can't put my finger on it, and I gave up. I'm like, stop trying to put
Put
these
in a box
guys
or put
side by
somewhere.
side to somebody else,
Yeah.
right? I think it's just kind of a habit that I have, and I'm sure other people do it too. But
I do the same thing. I think you just naturally hear influences in another artist. Where you're like, I know they listened to something growing up that I also listened to. And I think that's like part of the fun for me because I do the same thing. Like I'll hear an artist and be like, I know they listened to
X, Y, Z
whatever it
band,
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
and
That's
who
cool.
were some of those for you guys?
Are you talking in general or just for this project
I mean,
in general?
in general, I mean, then you can kind of elaborate more on this project if you want to, but just kind of, I mean, what are your guys? I mean, what got you into music? I mean, was it a band that you heard and you're like, wow, this is like incredible. I need to do this with my life, or how did you kind of fall into that, and what influences kind of put you where you are today?
Go ahead, Gums.
For me, I think just from a young age, I just liked music as a child. I asked my parents for a drum kit first when I was very young, and I got like some little kid drum kit thing and just hit it all day. But eventually, when I grew up a little bit, I was like 10 maybe. Instead of getting a bigger drum kit, they got me a guitar because it wasn't as loud.
Right.
But I had a few bands. Like it was like I grew up, like I said, like kind of under like the church umbrella and stuff. So a lot of like 90s, 2000s like Christian artists, but then also stuff that was popular. Obviously, I still was aware of and listened to. And you know, the 90s had like a good rock surge in it. Also had a good pop surge, and then the early 2000s was just very eclectic. Like I remember right when I moved to Nashville, Green Day had put out American Idiot, which now just passed 20 years a few months ago.
Yeah.
One of my favorite albums of all time. I think it's one of the most important rock albums of all time too. But I was listening to like that a lot, Blink-182 a lot, and then all these like kind of cool Christian bands too, like kind of just, I don't know, something about like the harder music world, like the metalcore and all that. Like it was kind of thriving in the Christian world for a little bit in the early 2000s. Like every big name was associated with like a Christian label or something. Like August Burns Red, Devil Wears Prada,
Under Oath.
Under Oath's like a top 3 band for me, top 3 of all time band for me. In so many ways, other than just like I like their songs, but yeah, that's kind of what I grew up when I was younger. But like I said, like in the 2010s, like I kind of got a lot more into pop music, and then I would say most of what I listen to now, in the last, I would say 5 years or so, since maybe COVID, it's like what I look to listen to when I want to listen to something is probably something that is like alternative, because I think the alt space has gotten just way more interesting the last few years. There's so much good alt pop out there, and I think alternative kind of became the genre where you just put everything that's not radio pop, that's not necessarily like heavy rock, that's not necessarily, it's just kind of like it can be all these things at one time, or it can dip in and out. Like the new Halsey record's a great example. There's so many different kind of little genres in that record. But for when it comes to Loyals and this project in particular, I mean, we were talking about this the other day. We never really referenced too hard or said we want to do something that sounds like this. We kind of just went and wrote songs, and now that it's been a little while since we finished making it, and now it's out, I can now look back and listen to something like Up All Night, and I can hear why it sounds like it is, like what I actually was pulling from that I wasn't consciously pulling from, which for that song in particular would be the guitar part is very I can't put it with compare it to a specific song or band, but there's something about it that feels there's a little punk in there, but it's like
you're talking Up All Night, right?
Yeah, Up All Night. But it's not on like an electric guitar. It's not like Tom DeLonge running like his Strat into like a Mesa cab in 1999. It's that whole song. All the guitars on it are my Acoustasonic, my Fender Acoustasonic. There's no electric guitar or no acoustic guitar. It's like this hybrid thing. It's more like an electric guitar, but with an acoustic body, sort of. It's hard to describe. You look it up, it makes a lot of sense when you see it. But it kind of just sounds small and thin and very percussive, and which kind of adds a lot of energy to me. But the riff itself is it's like that's very punk. It's like a very punk riff, they're right, but it's under this pop umbrella in a way. But you know, also people have heard that song and they say it has like a Harry Styles vibe to it. Well, when it comes to not maybe the guitar part, but kind of the sonics, the synths, and
I could hear that.
Yeah, I can too. And there was a couple times today that I was like, this sounds also like this. I'm like, I'm trying to force it. So I was like, get off that.
Yeah, and in the finish my segment,
at all. Go ahead, man.
I'll let you do your influences too, but I'll say the other really specific influence I can off top. You mentioned The Weeknd and No Tomorrow. Yeah, that was absolutely the After Hours record was something that I know we were both listening to, and I definitely listened to it a lot around when we were making the project. I don't think a single of us person while writing that song said The Weeknd. We might have, I don't know, but it might have been like in hindsight afterward. Like this kind of feels like The Weeknd.
Right? Yeah.
Or like maybe this is kind of like a Weeknd flow. So while we're tracking vocals, maybe we make the vocal treatment like a little more like short reverbs and just
lean into it a little harder.
Lean a little bit into that R&B Weeknd vibe. But that was post writing it. You know what I mean? So it's just like some things you just kind of get in the mood and you write it. You don't think too hard about trying to figure out what it is. You just kind of make the thing, and then you realize, oh, that's kind of like this and this and this and these things over here now in hindsight. But that's right. I let Dane do his influence stuff now.
Yeah I mean we were so like, I feel like every other project that I've been a part of, I'm heavily like trying to reference something else because that's where I'm listening to, I'm getting ideas from that. But this process was, we wanted to shut all that off and find something new. And it is really bizarre kind of to listen back to the songs and be like, oh, that's what I was listening to at that time. Like Kiana Lede, I found this artist named Kiana Lede. She had a song called X. And her stuff is so cool because she's an R&B singer, R&B artist using a lot of guitar, like good sounding electric guitar. And I can hear a lot of that kind of feel where the guitar is strategically placed, as opposed to our first album where it was like the driving factor.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just
It was
kind of
very-
like sitting in the mix a little bit more eloquently in these songs, which I hear that a lot with Kiana's stuff.
Yeah, you're talking about the Kiki record, right?
Yeah, Kiki. Well, the X song was before Kiki.
Okay.
I don't remember what album
Because
that
that's
was
the
on.
record that I hopped on the train with her on, was the Kiki one.
Yeah, Kiki is bad to the bone. My influences. I grew up in church. My dad was a pastor. Like until he still preaches today. So I mean, like that was kind of the world that I was born into, and I wasn't really allowed to listen to anything else besides Christian music. But there was so much to like pick from.
Yeah.
And I remember the first artist I remember hearing was like that I can remember being like, I am interested in this. Like I want to make music. It was an artist named Lincoln Brewster, who is probably the sickest guitar player that I could think of. And he's just making like Jesus CCM music. But his guitar playing was what I was drawn to. And I want to say he played for like some crazy like mainstream artist that I can't remember the name of right now, but look it up. He played for somebody insane. That was the first time I remember being like, this is awesome and I'm interested in it. And my family kind of moved around Tennessee because my dad was a youth pastor at the time. But I was born in Knoxville, spent some time in Crossville, Tennessee, which is a little East Tennessee town. And then we moved to Memphis, and that's where I discovered Lincoln Brewster. That's where I discovered artist named Kirk Franklin, which Kirk is not just Kirk. Like Kirk features a whole bunch of different singers on his albums. So I, was exposed to artists like Fred Hammond, Ty Tribbett, Jay Moss. Not to mention like his choir. Like that's kind of where I've started to learn how to sing harmony too. And just a little white kid in Memphis, Tennessee, trying to figure out how to sing Kirk Franklin songs. Like that was where I really got interested in singing. Both my parents could sing really well, and I don't know. I guess they passed that down to me, and that was the first time I remember being like, singing is really cool.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think I just heard my son. Hang on a second.
Oh no. Okay.
Fun little tidbit. I think the first time that Dane ever sang an original song in front of people happened to be like the day that I met him.
It was at a church.
It was at church. Yeah, it was a youth group thing. Yeah, right when I
Yeah, I
moved to
remember
town. And then my literally first day I walked into the youth group. Dane performed some song that he wrote, and
It was terrible. It was the first song I ever wrote and
Yeah.
performed. It was so bad.
yeah, it's a funny little war bit right there. But
I had to have been 13.
yeah, you're 13.
Yeah, but who
Yeah.
else is doing that kind of stuff? That's like still cool, regardless.
Yeah, no,
No, I
I mean,
think so.
and honestly, the band and the youth group was really good. When I
We-
remember showing up and being like, oh, like I could hang with these guys because I already had been playing guitar for years at that point. I started playing when I was really young, and I just didn't know a lot of musicians, especially coming from Orlando, Florida, which is where I'm originally from. Didn't know anyone that played music that was my age. That at least I'm not trying to like brag or anything, but was at the level that I was at that point.
Yeah, you were. I mean, I can speak for Gomi. Like, he was bad to the bone. When he moved to Nashville, he was already like the best guitarist we all knew. And, you know, of course, we're just like freshmen in high school or eighth grade or whatever it was. But
Yeah.
he was definitely on a different caliber.
Oh,
music.
I was just so excited to meet other people around my age or even a little older that like I could jam with, that it would actually be fun.
Yeah.
You know. But,
Anyway,
yeah.
I've been blessed to have a lot of different influences, and I think it's really affected what I want to do musically. I've never been able to like just narrow, you know, what I want to do down to one genre. It's actually been a little bit of a problem, especially when we're shopping like Skyhook to labels
Loyals,
and
yeah.
Loyals as well. Like the number one piece of feedback I would get is like, "What are you guys? What are you trying to do again?" Because I hear like 10 different things that you're showing me.
Yeah.
So, but I really enjoy listening to a lot of different stuff and obviously like making different things. I have a big playlist. I put everything I like into one playlist, and it kind of it turns some heads if anybody's listening with me. It'll go from the weirdest thing you've ever heard of to
Yeah.
the opposite side of the spectrum. You know what I mean? So
I get that too. I think my liked playlist is probably weird.
yeah, I love that.
Yep.
Give me some flavors, man.
Yeah.
It's a part
What's-
of the musical DNA.
Yeah, that's what's so cool about music. It's just like, and it's just sometimes it's just a feeling too. Like there's days where you don't want to hear pop like happy shit.
No.
You just want to be but there's been times where I've just been like kind of down. And
Yeah.
I don't know why, but like it's like let's go down further and put on
Dude.
some sad
Yes.
shit.
Do you know what that
Yeah,
record?
Bon
do you know what
Iver.
that record for me is Peripheral Vision by Turnover.
You got into that band. I still haven't really listened to that band.
No?
You
Missing
No.
should. That just that album.
Okay.
I can't vouch for their other music. I ask most Turnover fans, they think, oh yeah, they have that one album that's really good.
The old one, yeah, right?
No, I'm not like, I mean, I've liked some stuff they put out, but most people you talk about Turnover, they're gonna reference Peripheral Vision.
Yes, for sure.
It's just like a really emo record, but it kind of feels melancholy. I don't know how to describe it. It's just like a sappy record.
Okay.
It's some sad
Yeah.
shit, dude.
I'm into the sad stuff, man.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
I know
it
what
is,
you
but-
mean though, man. Yeah, it's like depending on how I feel. Like that's what I want to listen to. If I'm up and having to work, like I'm ready to rage. Give me some mean something. I want what's Knocked Loose. I want something like that. I
Okay.
want As I Lay Dying. I want
Okay.
mean stuff. But then
Chelsea
yeah, like
Grin.
opposite side of that is I love Bon Iver. Like if
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
feeling like in my feels, I'll put on 22 a Million. That album is incredible.
Yes, it is.
His new stuff.
But I'm
is
with
really
you.
good, too.
Yeah, Sable,
Yeah, what's that song? Is it Space Side or Space Side? Or
Spayside. Yeah,
Oh,
that
so
that
good.
song is incredible.
Yeah. So
I feel like that song is like him. This is neither here nor there, but I feel like that song just spoke to me right out of the gate because he's talking
Yeah.
about some really like open-hearted stuff that I related to right off the bat and would never want anybody to know that about me.
Mhm.
I'm interested in that kind of vulnerability in music. And
Yeah.
I think he's always done a great job of just being really, really honest in his
Right.
songs.
For sure. You know, being in raised in the church and all, and performing in the church, and did your parents have anything to say? Like when you're like, you know what, I'm going to stop doing this, and I'm going to kind of go. Was that a thing
Yeah.
at all? Or?
Really it's a lack of what they say. You just I love my parents and
Of course.
I obviously want them to like be on board with whatever I'm doing, but there was definitely a difference when we switched from the Skyhook thing to Loyals. It became they got a lot quieter after that.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, my parents were pretty cool with it. I mean, I don't know. I think it's just like if the music's good kind of vibe. I mean, I played them the record whenever we got the masters back. They were over at the house and they hadn't heard anything at all. They maybe like maybe a demo a few years back of like a song that like Give to Me or something like that had been written a long time ago. But no, they're pretty cool with it. I mean, you know, it is funny going from like kind of Christian band to like now we have to put the explicit tag on our music. It's a little weird for some people to swallow. We've definitely had those people that can't understand that me and Dane are in our 30s and are not kids trying to. We're not a Christian band. We're just not.
Right.
You know. Yeah. So, but you know, I don't care. That stuff doesn't really bother me. Yeah, I get a laugh out of it. You know.
Yeah, it's
yeah, man.
It's like a common thing, right? Now, did you get caught listening to music you shouldn't have been listening to?
I mean, I think my parents were like, "You shouldn't be listening to that," or that. But I just did a really good job hiding stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, we had like iPods and all that stuff growing up, but it's so easy to just put stuff.
Yeah.
Just go to LimeWire, download whatever thing I wasn't allowed to go buy at the store because I was still like was buying CDs all the time. I still have my CD collection from when I was a kid. There's hundreds of CDs in a box in my basement right now. But I was just going hop on LimeWire, get like New Bullet for My Valentine and Green Day and all that.
Yes,
Blink.
There are probably some that slipped through the cracks that my parents never heard me listening to, but I do remember the first one that I was like, I know this band rules. And I was listening to Creed. And my dad just put the freaking pumped the brakes on Creed. I forget which album. Yeah.
I know. What's funny is you look back now and a lot of people be like, oh yeah, Scott Stapp, he's a Christian. You know,
I wasn't able to watch like Smurfs, Rugrat. Like I was very like straight-laced, sheltered, conservative kid. And just kind of as I grew older, started experiencing things for myself and kind of was able to thankfully climb out from under that rock. Right. But I don't really think I listened to anything with like a swear word in it unless I was like on a school bus.
Yeah, say a school bus or something. Yeah.
And then I was like,
I mean, we were trading. We were trading
11 years
CDs. Old. We were trading CDs and putting stuff on each other's iPods back in the day. I mean,
like once we were like in high school and stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
like, we were Bullet for My Valentine. That's where I like started to really like got into the tooth and nail rock thing with Under Oath, Dead Poetic, Amberlin, Emery. Love that band. So like kind of just slowly progressed into different things, I suppose. But yeah, I do remember, this is a funny story because I work for this band now. I was listening to a band called Kids in the Way. They had released this like actually scary album. Like the sound was scary. Their look was scary for the album. I forget what the name of the album was, but it was awesome. And I was just listening to it in my room one day and my dad comes in and I don't know if you've heard the band, but Kids in the Way I've heard that they sound a lot like The Used.
Okay.
It's which you can kind of see the like chaotic kind of scary thing maybe.
It's some like early 2000s emo.
Especially if you had never heard anything like it before, which my parents had not.
You're talking about Safe from Losing Flight or Safe from Losing Fight, like the Red record. I just looked it up.
No. It had like 1988 Apparitions of Melody. That one.
Yeah, that one. Okay. 05.
Yes. So I was listening to that album and my dad comes upstairs and he says, turn this off right now. And he said, the hardest thing that this family listens to is Disciple.
I'm not familiar.
Dude, man. Disciple, they're you may recognize some of their
to be honest, hits, at that point they were ripping even back then. At that point.
Yeah, they were super heavy.
Just super heavy Christian metal band, but like could hang with like the other people that weren't Christian. Like they were that good, still are really good. Those they're all insane. Just good players, good, just heavy, just really heavy shit. It's good.
And now I tell my dad that story and he thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But back then it was not hilarious to him.
I bet. Yeah.
But now Dane works with that band.
Yeah.
The irony is funny.
Yeah. I was like, I grew up like religious, and I got Holy Communion and all that kind of stuff. And my parents were very like, if it had, that label on the CD cover, it was not allowed to be in the house. Of course, I had friends and rode the school bus too. I remember listening to Green Day, Longview.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, whoa, what is this? And what the hell's the other band called?
Was it 90s or 2000s?
90s. Sublime.
Hell
yeah.
Hearing that one song, I forget the name of the song, but yeah, just like I was like, whoa, this is like stuff I shouldn't be listening to.
What I got from Sublime is one of my favorite songs of all time, easily.
Yeah, it was the wrong way that I'm thinking.
Wrong
about
way.
hearing on the
Same
bus.
album. Yeah.
Yep. Same album.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's cool. Yeah.
My friend's
go
got
ahead.
a hilarious story. I guess his dad we were in high school, or maybe I think we were in high school. His my friend's name is Nick, good friend of mine. And in high school, his dad was moving his car because he still lived at home. Was moving his car, and he had Disturbed in. I think he was down with the sickness. And
Let's
it was
go.
like that one part where he just starts like screaming.
Yeah. The bridge.
Yeah. And
Oh no.
so his dad gets in the car, hears that, and goes to my buddy Nick. He goes, Nick, do we need to talk?
That's a scary
Everything
bridge,
okay?"
man.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'd probably do the same thing as a father.
That song would not be able to come out today. Like straight up.
No.
Yeah.
It could have, but like it would not have gotten popular. It would have gotten popular maybe for like
Everybody likes that song,
controversy.
but they also like kind of skipped it after once they got to the bridge.
Yeah.
Well, I think the
They're
radio
like, that's
cut,
a little too much.
I think the radio cut just straight up like takes it all out.
Yeah.
So.
I think so too.
But
Yeah,
it's
I don't
fun.
know. It's just, I have no musical talent whatsoever. I love music. I've been around music for a long, long time. I used to live with bands and travel with bands, and my entire like adult career has been, focused around or involved with bands somehow, some way. I just think it's so cool what music does for people, and it's even cooler that the music will live on far longer than we will,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the coolest part of anything people do creatively, whether it's writing a book, writing music, doing podcasts, whatever it might be. What do you guys kind of hope to leave behind when you're gone? Is there, have you ever thought about that before? Like, what you're doing, whether it's musically or just like, personally, like as creators, like what do you hope to kind of leave behind when you're
Yeah,
gone?
when you're kids, like I don't remember thinking about like what legacy am I leaving behind as an artist, but I think about it more as a dad.
Mhm.
And I think about it more as I get older. I'm 33 now,
Oh,
and just kind
so
of like, no, well, I don't mean I'm old, but I'm getting out of the like adolescent, like 20-year-old.
You're not a young adult
partying every
anymore.
night kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
You're just an adult.
And I have kids that are going to be around after I am, hopefully
Yeah.
one day. And I think about like, what are they going to associate with dad? What are their friends going to think about Wyatt and Jack's dad? And I think, we touched on it a little bit with the Bon Iver thing, but like, I think for a long time, I've created music or written music that is trying to just be honest, but also make you feel something, whether that's anger, a lot of times anger, or whether it's loneliness or, whatever that thing is. And I think we touched on it more with this project than ever. The more like visceral parts of being a human, like that song's She Hates Me, like the feeling of knowing that you are no good for somebody, yet you still stick around and you know that the relationship she said she hates me, but we're still here. And I'll say it for her, I'm never going to get better. That's why. Things like that, I'm very interested in continuing with that kind of more open, just hard on a plate kind of writing.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's important for me to like whatever you're listening to from me that it makes you feel something. That's very important to me. But even outside of music, I hope that people look back at who Dane Allen is and who Loyals is, and I hope that they just see somebody who is really honest, and whatever that looked like. Whatever place in life that I've been in or that they're looking in on with a certain work, I hope that I come across as honest.
Yeah. I think I like asking that question. I'm a father myself, so I too think about that a lot. I lost my father when I was young, almost 20 years ago. I was 22.
Wow.
Yeah, and what I wouldn't give to like have a voicemail even to kind of hold on to. So I like asking that question because I think it's important. When we're going through the day-to-day stuff, even if you don't have kids, just like being a person in the world and kind of like having an impact. Because if you're not having an impact, and I'm not saying you have to go cure cancer, that would be great, right? But like just having like impact in people's lives and like making a difference, whether it be big or small, I think that's important to do.
It's
Yeah, I agree.
important. Especially like in this day and age we live in now, where the internet kind of exposes everything, and we're very aware of like a lot of the bad things and a lot of the drama and even just dumb stuff that even shouldn't even be a thing. And it's more important, especially like with your friends, your local community, your people, whatever, on a small scale at least, just being for each other and just being aware. I think being aware is a huge thing. Being aware of like what you're doing and who you're reaching, who your audience is, whether it doesn't even mean you're an artist. Like your audience could be your friends, it could be your coworkers. And like, what can you do to one, make their day better, make the world better, whatever. But like people think it's this huge, elaborate, giant thing, but something as simple as just keeping up and checking in with someone.
I think that's huge, man.
Goes,
I mean,
goes
just
a long
think,
way.
you mentioned loss. We had a really, really close friend, best friend die. He was our tour manager for, however many years.
He is an OG, like way back before we were even doing music.
I met him when I was 9. Like,
yeah,
we were both kids. 9 years old. But he took his own life 5 years ago, 6 years ago. 6 years ago now, Combs?
2018. 6 years ago.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I mean,
and that was in the middle of like our album coming out, and
yeah,
just gonna come out. We have doing tours, we're lining up tours, nationwide tour in the fall, and he's behind all that and getting that set up, and then just get a phone call one evening and changes your life. Really does.
That was terrible. And then he was close not only with us but like our whole friend group as well. So Gomez, talking about like how you're writing for that audience of even just the people around you, that's all I could do for like 5 years, man, was write songs about Weston dying and how I felt about that. And in some weird way, I feel like our closest friends were like wanted that and like needed that and needed to hear that. And I know I needed it for sure.
And these are like songs that like no one's probably ever going to hear, but
man, I hope they do. Cause
I'm just saying, but even if no one heard them,
it was still worth it.
It's a part of that, it's a part of that process. And also it was for our friends. We write it for us, and we're trying, maybe this could be a Loyals thing. Let's just put what we're feeling on paper and put us down, and then, send it to a couple friends of ours, and they're like, I just listen to that like every single day, all the time, but it's like, I don't know if that means the song is really good or that people have like a really sentimental attachment to him. They know who the song's about. Like, I don't know what that means, but all that means is that that music is powerful and it has huge effects on people, and it can be a comforting thing. It could be a therapeutic thing as well to write or make or even listen to.
So, but I think that's a great way to put it, Gums, like writing for even just the people around you. Like, what do they think? Because that's like the most direct, honest, potentially honest, like kind of interaction you can have with an audience is people who care about you and actually like have a place to speak to you.
Yeah.
I never really thought about it like that. That's cool.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter either. It's just it was there for who needed it when they needed it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. And that's what's cool about music too, is just like, I say this a lot, like I can hear a song, differently if I'm in a certain mood than, if I was in a different mood. Like it's kind of, or I could hear a song a certain way and completely different than what you hear it as. It's like, I'll never forget. I just found out about an artist called Pete Yorn. One of my favorite all-time artists. And I was dating this girl, and she kind of introduced me to him, and we spent like months listening to the Pete Yorn records. And she kind of just abruptly, we stopped talking. And the lyrics, as I heard them, were, is something wrong with me? I'll show you things you've never seen. No, wait, I'm sorry. I thought it was fall in love with me. I'll show you things you've never seen. It was actually, is something wrong with me? So both would have fit at that moment, but I heard like, because as she was like fading away, I was like, I'm like, fall in love with me. Like, this is like, this is what I want. I want this to be a future. And it was falling apart.
Yeah.
I heard what I wanted to hear, I guess.
Yeah, you heard an interpretation of that song, and it didn't matter what the actual lyric was. It still like hit you right where it needed to hit you.
But both would make sense, because like, is there something wrong with me? Like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
Yeah. Music is such a powerful thing, and it's, we talk about it's saving lives, and it's incredible. And I wish I was able to perform or create and have that impact, but I feel like this is like the next best thing is, as far as like helping share, the music that does impact people with other people. So I guess we all do our little part.
Yeah, man, we have a really cool outlet to create.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, music's just too important. I mean, we've had so many ups and downs with this band. There's been
both bands.
There's been plenty of times where we could have just been like, whatever, done.
Dude, we've had just like sincere betrayal and heartbreak in this band over years. Like, we've had like all the things. God, we could a movie can be made, and obviously you Hollywoodize and make it more dramatic, but you could make a movie with just what we've been through up to
plenty of turmoil to choose from. Any reason we wanted to like end it, but I think it's just, at the end of the day, it's just so worth it to have an outlet to create like that. And I hope we always have it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I was going to ask you, like, Loyals is, based on this almost 20-year friendship. Was there ever a moment where you're like, you know what, maybe this isn't going to work out?
I mean, not ever between me and Gomi personally, and I know that that's who the band is today, but there have been, I mean, we had a guy, a leaving member, that was a huge deal for us when we first started this band. I don't remember when the album was done. Gomi will know, because he's Rain Man with dates. But it took forever to even release
started
it.
Production on the first album, the self-titled album Loyals, in February 2016, and concluded production in June 2016. With an asterisk, we added a song a year later to the track listing, and then the album actually came out in February 2018.
And then when did that release? That work?
Yeah, 2018, February 2018. So 2 years after, right when we started making the album, is when it actually came out. But it had to do with, because of a leaving member, basically, that we delayed it a good bit.
Like, not even just a member of the band, like somebody we held very dear and hurt us bad. And I'm sure we hurt them as well. But there've been a handful of moments like that. Any leaving member was always tough for me personally.
Sure. Yeah, well, we started with like 6 of us back in the day, like we're in high school, and then slowly, one at a time, people leave, and some, like more. I mean, not to like undermine other people that left, but some of them were like way bigger blows than others. And then some were surprising. And but like we kind of never lost sight of like I mean, I'll just tell you this. In my brain, from day one, I'm like, well, if Dane leaves, I guess Loyals is over. Here we are, and it's just me and him. So
And
you
we're
know,
both just kind of holding out, waiting to see what the other one does.
No, yeah, not even like that. I know, like, well, one, it just get. I mean, truth be told, it honestly just gets a lot easier the less people you have. That's
Sure.
less opinions. Like, not
Yeah.
that I have a problem with that. I'm a producer. I work with bands all the time that have multiple members, and I understand the dynamic and I love it. And there's a lot of cool things that happen with that. But I think for me and Dane doing this for so long, like the fact it's just me and him now, like we're just a little more focused and kind of, I guess we're not really focused. We're more like our synergy is a little better because it's us too. We very much understand kind of.
Yeah, there's
what
a
we
freedom that
like.
comes with
Yeah.
knowing someone for 20 years and
Yeah.
being in a band with them that you don't get when you have 5 other of the same guys. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like with a band, and we've been a part of some really cool projects that are bands. You kind of have to like relinquish space to each person to make different decisions towards the same goal of a song. And with just 2 people, like I'm never going to be as killer a drummer as Josh Manuel or from Issues or Aaron Farmer. I'm never going to be a keyboard player like Aaron Farmer is. And you kind of just have to like give up that control to those people in your band. But with 2 people, you can have much more freedom to just be like, okay, we want it to sound like this. There's nobody in the room telling us not to do it that way. Not that that wouldn't be a good thing to have. It goes quicker like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And also, like, I produce. That's what I do for full time writer producer. So it's it does help. It's easy that Dane can just come over and we can just write a thing or work on something, and it's like it's kind of all on us really. We had a producer on the CP2, Cameron, and then the record we did beforehand was also with a good friend of ours, Matt Arcani. But I feel like it always came down. It's somewhere along the line. It always came down somewhere between me and Dane, kind of like leading a lot of stuff anyway. It's kind of what it's always felt like anyway. So the fact that it's just us 2 now, like it's like, all right, cool. We know like our band's not even big enough to have a group chat. It's like it's literally just
There's a 1-on-1. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's just 1-on-1, and I know what Dane's into, what he likes, and what he kind of writes in his style. I've watched it evolve and change over years, and et cetera, et cetera. It's like writing. The only hard thing about writing is just like being diligent and putting down the time on the calendar to do it. Right. But getting in the room and doing something like just actually writing and making a track, like that's no problem for us. So
yeah, easy to do.
But yeah.
Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer.
You're good.
It's late. You got kids and things to do. But 2 more questions. The new EP, Love Me Bad. 5 songs like we talked about before. And you said it's from the beginning of the relationship to the end.
Kind of a fallout at the end, yeah.
Right. So was this a personal experience, or was this kind of something that was?
We kind of drew from. I remember a lot of these songs we wrote with the producer Cameron, and it was just like in the whole process trying to learn from him and just learn through the whole thing, because there was so much of what we were trying to do that I didn't really understand, and I just wanted to listen,
Yeah.
So one of the things that, I think I had done just kind of naturally in the past, but had never thought about it, was pulling from different instances in your life that may not be all necessarily one memory into a song, but maybe you're like pulling from one tiny thing that happened in your past and making it into a full memory.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that makes sense, but
Absolutely.
I think we did that a lot on this album, on this EP. And because I personally don't have an experience of like having an ex at the foot of my bed,
right,
dying to bang when I'm like, and I don't know what tomorrow's going to be.
Right.
But there are different instances where I can pull from the 3 that were in the room writing, and also like past experiences.
It's also just like it's like a shared collective of ideas and experiences. It's not just like I think a lot of people like think that artists, especially like pop artists, like when they're writing you're hearing a song that they have like, and this is not necessarily 100% true blanket kind of thing, but a lot of people think like, oh man, they're singing about this. This is something that must have happened to them. Not really always the case. Like, I mean, I think people just, yeah, there's like hints of like this and that, or a feeling or something. But and I work with artists all the time that they don't want to write anything unless it's something they went through.
Right.
It's a little harder to write records with them unless they have a lot of like stories to
Deep
really
shit,
pull
yeah.
from. But I mean, this record, we wrote it between, I guess, 2019, and I guess the last song that we wrote for it that made it to the record was around 2022-ish when we wrote it. A couple years ago maybe. But you know, it is about a relationship. Our biggest song, if you go to our Spotify, it's called Skyline. Hilariously, not a true story song, just something Dane wrote one day with their buddy. That it's just a great pop song that feels great, and it's just feels good. It's a first date kind of song, you know.
Well, I mean, it may not be like a true story, but it is something that everyone who's been in a relationship can identify with. There are
Exactly.
things
Relate
like,
to it, yeah.
I think I said too much. Like, there have been plenty of relationships that I've been in where I've said too much on a first date. You know what I mean?
1000%. Yep.
So like, I think you just can paint a picture with different little memories like that in
Yeah.
a song.
Well, that's what's awesome.
That's what we try to do on this. Yeah.
That's what's like. I mean, like, I can't write a song. If I had to, if you said like you had to write a song right now, it would have to be something that I've lived, you know, heartbreak or whatever it might be. But I think what's really cool is like artists, you're exactly that. You're artists, you're creators, you're able to paint these pictures. And I just interviewed a band called Gore, and they have a song called Doomsday. And the lyrics to that song are incredible. So if you have the time, check that out. But
that
just
the
said
name
Gore?
and the name and the title sounds so metal.
they are metal.
Okay,
But
I knew it.
the song starts off so pretty. But the lyrics are like, you know, you hear them like you're like, whoa, this is dark. And then like the 2:55 mark that like kind of really hits. But it is a heavy metal band. They're awesome. But yeah, what I'm getting at is it's you know, as creators and things like that, it's an amazing talent. I mean, it's exactly that. It's talent, it's creativity, it's something I wish I had. But you guys do, so that's good.
I mean, it's never too
Thanks,
late.
man.
No,
to
stop
just
it.
Try.
Everyone's
It's never too late.
No, I will fight. I've said it 1,000 times on this show. I will die on this hill. Like, it's too late for me.
All right, it's okay. You don't have to. That we need more people like you to listen to us.
Again,
go ahead.
no, it's people say that all the time. Like, oh, it's never too late to pick up an instrument. Like, listen, like, I work all day. I come home. I've got 2 kids as well. We get home. We do family dinner together. We do bath time. We do homework. We do whatever, books before bed or whatever it is before bedtime. And then I'm either doing this or I truly love my wife and I really, truly enjoy spending time with her and talking to her. We talk about our kids and their future,
Yeah,
and
man.
our day. And it's like, I love doing that. So to pick up a guitar or anything like that, just
Like not in the
cards.
cards. I get that. Yeah.
It's just not. I have a certain bandwidth. Like I have to.
I
stop
keep
doing
saying
this.
I keep saying I would love to stream, but am I really gonna like save up the cash with 2 kids in daycare? Am I gonna save up the cash to build a
It's not even really the
PC?
cash. It's the time. It takes so
And am
much
I gonna
time.
actually do it at night when everybody's asleep? I'm just gonna be yelling in the basement. Like I don't think I'm actually gonna do that, even though I really would love to. I get it.
Well, that's why I do this solely at night. So again, thank you guys for accommodating me and my
Yeah, man, of course.
my life. But yeah, I do it when they're in bed, and my wife probably enjoys the little break that she gets from me, and she's probably watching some kind of murder mystery or whatever. But one more question before I let you guys go, and it's kind of just kind of fun thing. It's nothing really related to your music, but I don't know what I was thinking about the other day, but it just kind of popped in my head. And it's like end of the world shit, right? There's an asteroid coming to Earth. It can't be stopped. There's no Bruce Willis. Nothing. There's no Will Smith. It's not gonna. It can't be stopped.
There's no oil miners, oil
Right.
people learning how to be an astronaut in 1 week. Then go-
Exactly.
Instead of astronauts learning how to use a drill.
Aerosmith's not playing in the background. Like it's over. It's over. It's over. You have 5 days. It's gonna hit. Life's over. What do you guys do? What do you do with it?
What a great question, and what a weird question to ever be asked on.
Well, I think it's like it's just like
but it's
me
a cool,
as a
cool one. 5 days, right? So what's today?
5
Today's
days.
Tuesday, so that means Sunday is the last day on Earth.
Game over.
So,
like, there's no hope. There's no like trying to
that's
save
it.
yourself.
Like I
Like
said,
this
Okay.
is like oh,
It's
what's that
happening.
movie? The Steve Carell movie, like save
Yeah.
seeking a friend, friendly the world or whatever. They
Oh,
know
what a
what's
great
happening.
movie. Yeah.
Great movie, yeah, underrated.
Or like Don't Look Up, even.
yeah.
Oh, this is such a good question. Okay, so semantics and logistics out of the way, because I think we have to just throw out how the rest of the world is operating. Like,
Yeah. It's
you
just
you should be able to go like to your favorite restaurant, and people are not just, no one's at the restaurant because he knows the end of the world. Like, let's say the world is operating as it is now.
right. Exactly.
Okay, 5 days left. Thankfully, I'm thankful that I'm with close to my family and I see them regularly. There's not a lot of people that are like far away or strange, so it wouldn't be like a little journey to go say hi or be with people. They're down the road. I probably would. There's definitely a list of food I'd like to try to eat before. I would love to eat Snow's barbecue in Texas. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Just type it up on Netflix. There's a whole documentary about the
Snows?
pitmaster. I think it's called Snows.
Snows. Okay.
There's this pitmaster lady that's like in her 90s that runs the place, and it's apparently the greatest barbecue you'll ever have.
Let's go.
I'd probably do something along those lines. Probably go to Disney World for like a day or two.
You would go to Disney
Oh,
World,
dude, I'd love to go to Disney World. But I don't know. Like, I think the harder part of that question is, what is your last day like? Like, that's just that is so like existential. Like, I mean, I'm gonna be hanging out with my wife for sure, like 100% the whole way through. But it's like, what do you do? Like, do you just, what do you do knowing in 6 hours, like, lights out? Like, how do you even set up for that? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Reminds me of that movie. Was it Don't Look Up a few years ago or something like that?
Yeah, dude, that movie
Yeah.
rules.
Yeah, but it's also just such a dour ending. Like, it's so
Yeah,
like,
but I loved how they ended it. They ended it with like family
perfect.
and friends.
Yes.
In one
It would
room, sitting
probably
down for dinner.
it'd be something that looks like that. And you know, that I think that's probably how it would be.
Okay, I've got a pretty pragmatic answer for this question. I think I would round up everybody that means anything to me. That means the most to me, rather. Parents, best friends, wife, kids. And I think in my perfect scenario, I would make them all climb a mountain because I love the mountains. We'd go to East Tennessee.
Do you want to die at the top of the mountain?
I want to just be with them. I want to have whatever we need to stay up there. Let's say Mount LeConte. I would go to Mount LeConte with my friends and family, and we would just kick it and like share stories for a week. You said 5 days? However long.
Biggest
You
hike
get
you
up
want
there.
to.
It
Who
takes us a
cares?
day. Takes us a day to get up the mountain. We're up there for 4 days until it all ends, and we get to see whatever happened. I'll probably make a few phone calls to like try to make amends with some relationships in my life. Probably like, tie up some loose ends kind of deals.
Sure.
But
man. Those people don't get an inch of my time that I have left. Like, because I got a hit list, and those people, I don't need to talk to them.
That's funny.
They're
I like that. I like the two sides of that. Yeah, that's funny. 'Cause when you said it, Dane, I'm like, yeah, maybe that might be a nice thing to do. And then Andrew's like, nah. I'm like, you know what? You're right.
no, like rather be with the people that.
What's funny is we're probably talking about the same people too.
We are talking about some of the same people. You know who I'm thinking of. But no time given to people that fuck other people over. So
Yeah. I don't know what got me thinking about it. Just I said I think being a father, and as crazy as the world is, and you never know. And I'm not like a survivalist, so I was like, man, I'm like if we were like in a bad situation where food was scarce or like, you know, there's people going from house to house, like taking your guns or taking your food, or
Mm.
I'm in trouble. Like, or my family's in trouble. I'm not a survivalist. Like, it's not gonna like.
Mm-hmm.
I just went down this rabbit hole. I'm like, oh, what if the world's gonna end and yada yada yada. And I myself would probably do a bunch of drugs that I wish I did. At least for one day,
Yeah.
just to know what it's
Because
like.
you'll need like 4 days to recover and be fine.
Yeah. Well, just to know what it's like. I would just, I was always straight
Yeah.
and narrow. I never really kind of, went outside of, trying pot a few times. It's so like just to kind of see what that's like, but
Totally.
probably just kind of make sure my kids didn't know what was happening up until the
Yeah.
end. Just like, hey,
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't even-
normal day.
Jeez.
We're going to the park,
Good.
and
Can do the deep impact ending where you sit at the
Yeah.
beach and just watch the wave get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, dude, your kids bringing a whole different dynamic into that.
that's
Like
what
how
I'm saying.
I wouldn't want them to be scared, but at the same time, like everybody's scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
how do
just-
you kind of
they're
lead
just-
them to the end?
I think we're just
That's
trying.
So
like, make
dark,
them-
man.
I know.
I think
it
I think the
sucks.
most optimistic version of asking this question is if you know that if you're the only one that knows in 5 days the world will end and the world can just keep
Oh.
moving on like nothing, it's just normal. What would you like? I feel like that kind of changes because
Like, would
You
you
can-
tell people? Is that your?
no,
Yeah.
no, I wouldn't tell
No.
anyone. I mean, maybe I don't know. Like, I feel like that kind of information is so like. I mean, once the word gets out, it's chaos. Like,
I could get it out of you. I would know something's up, and I would get it out of you. For
I mean, sure. I would
God,
probably,
shit.
I would probably make some shit up that I have like a terminal disease and I'm dying in a week. So here's my
Oh,
like,
whatever.
whatever. Like, sorry, I'm not letting everyone's feelings get down with it if I can help it. But,
Yeah.
but you know,
Well-
yeah. What a cool, weird question, then.
Great
No,
question.
That's weird. That's weird. I'm sorry to pop it on you because it's like heavy. It's like, what would you do? But that's kind of the fun of the question too. It's like,
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good question.
With that being said, I'll let you guys go.
Yeah.
Let's do the standard. Where can people find you on the internet?
At Loyals Band, everywhere.
Loyals Band everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Cool.
Instagram, TikTok, I guess Facebook if you still use that, and Twitter if you may or not. I mean, I like Twitter; it's fine, memes, but mainly TikTok, Instagram be like the main hotspots because that's where we'll probably put any newer information or songs or teases or anything like that.
Gotcha.
And then obviously pick your favorite DSP, Apple Music, Spotify, follow us on there, and check out the EP. And also just go check out our other stuff. We're a band that very much is not, we don't shy away from like where we came from. We love the first album that we did. We very looking forward to the day to get back on the stage and play the new songs, but also to play some of the old songs again too. So
Yeah.
we're never going to be a band that throws away the thing we did last because there was a new thing out. We're very much like it's all
Mainly
it's
because
part
it's
of our-
still awesome, and we still love
because
playing
it's
it.
still great. Yeah, it's just another flavor of who we are and where we were a few years back. So
Cool.
but yeah.
Well, today is December. Jesus, October 29th.
I was gonna say, please, who won the election?
Well, by the time this comes out, it'll be next week. We'll have a new president.
Maybe.
Hopefully the
Maybe.
world-
Maybe.
Hopefully, yeah, maybe. Hopefully the world doesn't burn between now and when this comes out.
That was another part of your question is that we wouldn't know who won the election. So all that worrying and thinking about it was worth nothing.
We'll see what happens. It's gonna be wild. I just hope the world doesn't burn. I feel like either
Same.
either way that either way you go, I feel like there's gonna be uproar.
Well,
and
I think we've
there's-
just
Oh, yeah.
been conditioned to people just if they don't get their way, they get upset, and that's not good. That's not good.
it's funny you should say that. It's really funny you should say that. I don't want to keep you, but real quick,
You're good, man.
No, you're good.
I got a text today that it was making fun of a candidate. Won't tell you who it was. It's not important. All I wrote back was, I think they're both dog shit, and I'm upset and angry that this is what we have to choose from. And because I didn't pick I guess because I didn't pick a side or
You're not like endorsing anybody
I
or
wasn't.
anything.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it basically like acted like I was promoting or advocating for the one that they hated,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't know how that got to this level, but it goes to the point like there's just such a tribal mentality, and it's like if you're not with me, fuck you.
Yeah.
And I just
Yep.
and that's what worries me the most. It's like I literally do not care who anyone votes for. I'm gonna go to different group texts, like who like there's a friend of mine who's like vocally talks about who he likes. I don't care. The beauty is we can choose,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just like I don't like the choices that we have to choose from.
Yep.
I'm not like saying one or the other, but you because I'm not saying like yes, I agree with the person you like. They assume that I'm on the opposite end or because
It's
I'm
almost
not
as if human beings are nuanced and have interesting opinions, and they don't have to fully align 100% with another person.
right. It's like these have been friends of mine for 20 some years. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I thought because one guy's like, oh no, politics, don't do this. And I'm like, oh no, I think we can have a, we all respect each other enough to where we can have a simple discussion. And it kind
Apparently,
of
you
didn't,
can't.
it didn't
Apparently you
go
can't.
that way. It didn't.
Yeah,
And then
you can't.
another friend said
Yeah.
like this, I'll
How
vote
dare
for,
you for thinking that?
and again, like I'm not saying like as of right now, like I'm not voting. Like I am voting, but I'm saying like in that message, no one knows what side I'm
Sure.
for, and I'm probably leaning more towards one side than I do the other. But like, not the point. The
Mhm.
point is, I think it's crappy that we have the choices we have in front of us.
Yeah,
Neither's
I agree with
great.
that. I really, like Gomi said, everything's so polarized these days, and it feels like nobody can agree on anything, much less everything.
Yeah,
So I feel like we got to get back to like we gotta have some mercy. We gotta have some forgiveness for either side,
yeah,
for people in general. We gotta come to some middle ground, saying like we don't have to agree on everything, but we can still love each other. We can still be
yeah,
homies.
exactly.
And I feel like until that happens, it's gonna be more of this, and that's really sad to me because I have friends like you that on both sides, and I don't really have a side. I don't really care to have a side.
Yeah,
I just And for me personally, for my well-being, for my family's well-being, I think I have a therapist, and he said, the crazy thing about politics is you can turn everything off about what you're worrying about. If it's
Mhm.
who's going to be president, if it's the stock market crashing, you could turn all of that off. Just turn off your social media, quit reading the newspaper. You have the power to just not care.
yeah,
and probably be more healthy for it. But
Mhm.
that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't know even if I'll vote, and that maybe I
Yeah.
will, but I don't know. I really just don't know how I feel about everything.
I want to vote. I do, but it's hard.
This man about to play eeny meeny miny mo at the poll. He's about to be it's multiple choice. Can we circle C every time? Because I think averagely if we do C every time, I'll be correct.
Right,
One of the
right.
like in grade school. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that hard. I've also not lost, but I've definitely have had friendships and family over the last how many years now, really. I don't know what the answer is. It's just, I guess it's social media, it's certain personalities, certain people entering politics, it's all these things. It's a big thing in one that spits out whatever results that we're having now.
Yeah,
And I've had a lot of really strange conversations the last handful of years that I never thought I'd be having with like people that are close to me, than
right.
people just raging at just my dumb opinion that is one of 335
30
million
Yeah.
people. Yeah, like who cares? And also like after this is over, who cares? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
I fully
like-
reserve the right to change my mind on anything that I
Right.
say I
That's-
believe right now.
exactly. No, exactly. That's what I tell them. Like, yeah, just because I voted like this 10 years ago doesn't mean I'm voting like this today, because I'm 10 years like more into my life with different issues, different
Right.
things that I prioritize. So like, sorry that we're not aligned, I guess, but like
Yeah.
we're homies and this shouldn't really even be a thing.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
It's I said they were both dog shit. And like my one friend took offense. He's like, he acted like I said that I hope the person dies. And I just like, these are both dog shit. Well, that's not fair. That you like, I'm like, whoa, I didn't know that. Like to me, dog shit was equivalent to not ideal. Like,
Right. Yeah, that's how I took it. Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't like it's something. It's a
people go from 0 to 10. You can't even watch a movie anymore. You can't go to a movie theater, watch a movie. This would pick new MCU movie or anything without going online, and then you see what people's opinions are, and it's either this is the greatest thing ever or it's trash.
right.
And somehow along the way in the last 5, 6, 7 years or so, it feels like that's kind of been the mindset. Everything is we're just being fed so much content and so much stuff
Yeah.
that we can't even appreciate what we're even watching or what we have, what we're listening to. It's either like, this has to be the greatest thing ever. This new album from this artist that everyone's looking forward to has to be the best. And if it's not, if it's anything other than the greatest thing that's ever happened, it's a huge disappointment and it's trash. And I don't know, man, some of my favorite albums that to this day were definitely albums that grew on me that I didn't like at the first place.
Sure.
Like I don't know, like that's kind of bled its way into everything. If you vote for this person or it's either like it's almost like this mentality of like you have to go all in on your person, or I mean you don't go in all on anyone, or you have to trash the other one. And
Yep.
I don't know, man. I just don't remember growing up. Obviously we were younger, but even when it came to the political stuff, I just don't remember. I mean, I just for fun I googled the other day or looked on YouTube. I guess it was like a presidential debate with Obama and Romney,
Mhm.
I think, from 2012. Could not be any more different in
Right.
like the in how
Respectful.
respectful.
shaking hands.
Yeah, talking well good of each other, or like,
Right.
I like that. That's good. I'm gonna take your idea and here's what I think about it, or we agree on this thing. Haven't had that in quite a long time, and I'm fearful that we will never have that again, because the media, social media, the algorithms, mainstream media, like they love the chaos. They love the chaos.
I love making people hate things, man, or loving them like uncontrollably.
Hate
I think
drives clicks.
I think when I think about our two candidates we have, I feel like, you know, it's a tough place to be at all, and I don't want to choose either one of them, and maybe won't even. But at the end of the day, I hope that it's not all bad, and I hope that those people can rise to the occasion.
You're a piece of shit. How dare you not pick a side? How dare you not vote?
Haven't you heard that
Don't
this is
you
the most
know-
consequential election of the
Don't-
entire universe of all time?
Yeah, don't you know that that's a right?
Just like last time, how last time was the most consequential, insane.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what year was that where Rock the Vote was big? It was P. Diddy, and look where he's at.
Oh
yeah.
my
Oh my God.
Oh wow. Wow.
Ew.
But also I remember when Rage Against the Machine did the Democratic National Convention, and it was the most epic performance ever of any political anything ever.
Yeah.
They were straight up like, y'all are it's literally Rage Against the Machine. You brought this band to a political party. They like what were you expecting?
Yeah. So
Yeah. So fun.
well, we could talk about this stuff all night long. It's not gonna go. We're not gonna fix it. We're not gonna fix it.
Yeah, and we're gonna be dead in 5 days anyway. We're not gonna know who.
Oh
Astros-
yeah, dang it!
Astros
What are we doing? We got to get to the mountains.
Gather your kids, hug your wives. Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for being a part of this tonight. I love your music. I hope that
Thanks, man.
People watch this and hear about it and check that out, because it's great stuff. Is there anything going on? It is the end of October. We've got 2 months left in the year. I mean, anything coming up this year that you can share, or are we kind of just gonna
Just continuing to write,
and make sure that
focused on getting the new set of whatever out, singles or whatever.
We
it
got
ends up
some
being.
we have some options for some new songs already. But we want to write a bunch more. And then the rest of the year, we'll really just be promoting the EP.
Cool.
A little into the early next year will be more of the same too. Just we haven't put out anything really in a long time. So we're going to ride this release a little bit. We'll keep trying to cultivate a new audience with it. And then we'll be putting on new stuff sometime next year.
Awesome.
For sure. We don't want to go like years
yeah.
without releasing like we just did. That's just
No,
For sure. Well, let's fingers crossed. No new pandemic. No,
Oh, jeez.
no crazy wild stuff.
I
we gotta
mean,
deal
hey, if another pandemic, I went through one of them and I stayed afloat doing the production thing, and we still wrote in the meantime. We'll figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
with. Well, we are a week away from the election as of right now.
True.
When this comes out, we'll have it. Maybe we'll have a new president. So we'll see what happens. But again, thank you both so much. I appreciate your time and love your music, and I appreciate your music, and I hope to stay in touch.
Thanks, Popko.
totally.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.